What's up, Big 12 Nation? It is Tuesday night in America. That can mean only one thing. It is time once again for your favorite YouTube-centric Big 12 themed show. That's right. It's the one, the only, the Biggest 12 with me, your host, Clint Foster. Thanks so much for making us a part of your Tuesday night, this Thanksgiving week edition of the Biggest 12. Hopefully you're getting yourself all psyched for turkey and stuffing and all of the fixins that you got going on with family here in short order. But first, we got to talk about some Big 12 football because, boy, howdy, are things jumping off. Before we get into that and my fabulous guest today, you know I need something from you. I need you to subscribe to the show at Big 12 Voice of College Football. There it is right there. We do this every Tuesday night. We do a lot of other stuff too. You want to be a part of it? Subscribe. Tell your friends about it. Hey, this is perfect Thanksgiving dinner conversation, okay? Hey, listen, I'm a part of this this community. You know, some call it a cult. I don't know, maybe not, but you should want to be a part of it too. It's on Tuesday nights. It's the Biggest 12. And then, oh my God, you're the most popular person at Thanksgiving dinner. Just let me tell you. Also, you can listen to the Biggest 12 on your podcasting app of choice, wherever you get your podcasts, Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, you name it. Catch the Biggest 12 live on your favorite audio platform, or you can listen to it later on your commute, which, you know, that's fabulous. We love that for you. Also, follow me on Twitter at Clint_Foster55 and my personal YouTube channel at Clint Foster Comedy. New video today. All right, it's been a busy day for your boy. Got a new video out there for you, a new TCU fans video. So those of you Sun Devils tuning in, you'll like this. We're crapping all over Arizona. That's always a good day when we're doing that. And yeah, I guess that's all of the podcast business for now. So without further ado, let me introduce my guests. They are all friends of the show, and I'm so hyped to have them all here together. We got Brownie, we got Brittany, and we got Ralph. How are you folks doing on this Thanksgiving week?
Dumpster fire no more.
No more for Iowa State. No more.
For now.
It hasn't been this good in a while. Pretty happy.
I imagine. Yeah, for you especially, Ralph. Brittany, you doing good?
Yeah, just played with my horses, just got home. I'm excited for some football.
Yeah, and Waffles. Everyone wants to know is Waffles doing good?
Yes, Waffles, of course, is doing really well. He sees a very, very slim pathway to the Big 12 championship.
Well, yes, we have all of you represented on the wall behind me. We got Ralph, we got Brittany, we got Waffles, and we got Brownie. So the gang is all here, and I can't wait to talk some football. So first, my top story of the week, we're gonna get TCU with it a little bit here, because I just can't get over the fact that Nick Saban has TCU so far up his craw that he literally cannot stop talking about us. Okay, so for those of you who missed it, I'll share this little interview that he did on SEC SPN earlier this week. Here, let's check it out.
And I'm not. I think there's some times where you thought, like, I don't know if we're going to get in, and then you guys get in, somebody gets left out. It's just kind of the name of the game almost.
Yeah, and it was all subjective. It was all subjective.
It's crazy.
And the one thing about, we would have been 13-point favorites over TCU if we would have played them, and they got in the playoffs when we didn't. And I'm not criticizing TCU. It wasn't their fault. I mean, but that is the subjective part of it.
What happened to TCU in that run? Yeah.
I was at that game.
Yeah. We were working together.
That's right.
What happened to TCU? Well, we beat Michigan for starters, Alabama. So, you know, F you, Nick Saban. That was also a prelude to another unnecessary mention of TCU during the Oklahoma-Alabama game. I don't know if y'all saw either of these. Here we go. Chris Fowler just decides to choose violence. Let's check it out.
After a 13-minute delay in Tempe to play one more play.
What part of you think the clock's in? You think they don't see the clock? They just see other people running and they just take off like sheep. They just take off.
Stampeding sheep. I don't know what they were thinking. I mean, I think they're thinking that it's a huge win, and they have not had anything like this in a long time. Really haven't. You're talking about 2017, I believe it was. TCU came in here ranked top 10. You know, it's TCU with all due respect.
It's gonna be a good effort.
They're just throwing shade at you left and right.
What is going on? Okay, so why?
I didn't see either of those.
Help me work through this, y'all. Why is TCU catching all these strays?
I don't know. I think it's amusing that TCU is catching strays right now, especially with like, I don't know if you saw my post that I put out there Sunday morning / midday about the Utah athletics department.
Oh,
Yes.
yes.
And it apparently got up so many craws over in Utah Nation that Big 12 Mafia had to basically come out and say that it was a fake. I was like, and I kind of chuckled and I was like, they really need to bring in media literacy back into like school curriculums, because by the third paragraph, when I posted the Wiggity Western Athletic Conference, also known as the Wiggity, that did not give it a dead giveaway as like a false letter. But I don't know what would.
Yeah, I did see that, and here it is for those of y'all who don't follow. If you don't follow Brownie on Twitter, what are you doing? But this is what he posted. This beautiful satire of Mark Harlan complaining.
It had some good ones in there.
Yeah.
And I thought it was amusing how everybody is like, this has to be fake. No way that he's actually said this. And I was like, well, I mean, you're not wrong, but at the same time, some of the stuff that I've heard that man say so far this season would not put it past me if half of this was true.
Yeah. Yes, the fact that you have to double take. But this is why I make my government students do current event assignments, right? And look for media bias and, just like complete falsehoods. I'm trying to weed out the Utah fans of the world, right?
They still make kids do those. I did those like 20 years ago.
Oh yeah.
They need
in
to.
government, absolutely. There's a lot to go through. Ralph, you want to know my conspiracy theory about why they're trashing TCU so much this week? It's because they're trying to set it up to exclude the Big 12 champion from having a first round bye. Your thoughts, sir?
I'm unbothered by first of all, if it's anyone but us, you absolutely deserve the bye. If it's us, we're happy to be here. I mean, it's ridiculous. Picked last. I will take a seat outside the stadium with a view into the stadium for the college football playoff. I'd be happy with that. If we don't ever even take the field, we just get to be in the city. Like I am thrilled. It doesn't bother me at all. If it's somebody else, if it's BYU, if it's Iowa State, Kansas State, whatever backdoor scenarios there are, Colorado, sure, give them the bye. They deserve it. But for us, I mean, it kind of looks like it's Ohio State. You're either going to get Ohio State or you're going to get Ohio State is what it looks like. So how much does a first round bye actually matter at this point?
I will say, though, it would be delicious if it was Iowa State playing Ohio State and got to beat Will Howard a second time.
Oh, dude, that would make my day.
That would be pretty fantastic. That would be pretty
Will
fantastic.
Howard, you bum. I still have my Will Howard, you bum sign from last time.
I also, like, selfishly, I hate Ohio State. In Kansas State, people say if Will Howard got a natty, they'd be happy for him, and I'm sure they would be. But I think it would be very, very,
they
very
wouldn't know
funny.
anything about natties, so that
Exactly.
My point exactly.
Crop judging.
They've never gotten one in a sport ever, and then he transfers, and his first season somewhere else, they win one. So, like, I hate Ohio State, but like, if somebody else got to win it, I wouldn't mind watching that happen.
I can see the schadenfreude in that, but I despise Ohio State entirely too much, and I don't care about Kansas State enough to want Will Howard to win. Okay, well, so we're already getting into this. Takeaways from last week, folks. Can be about your team, can be about any team in the Big 12 who is in the driver's seat for the championship. What's your biggest takeaway from last week's action?
Utah missed a bowl.
Love it. Couldn't happen to a nicer group of folks.
So, fun story about that too.
I want to point out, if everyone here hates Mark Harlan, I just need everyone here to know he's an Arizona Wildcat.
That makes sense.
Perfect.
So you like that. That's make sure they're getting some credit for this too.
Okay, deal. I actually do have Arizona's athletic letterhead. I can draw something up.
U of A grad, first job out of college at U of A, worked there on multiple occasions. He's a full-on Wildcat running the Utes.
I've got a degree from ASU, so you know what? I don't like Arizona either, so that's fine.
There we go.
Yeah, what's actually really funny is that Utah kicker was actually committed to Iowa State until 3 days before signing his letter of intent, and then decommitted and went to Colorado, and then got kicked off the team, and then went to Utah. So it is sweet, sweet karma justice that he missed that kick.
Mm.
I will say it was a little bit funny when I think Cyclone Larry posted something about like wouldn't know about missed kicks, and then Trisha from Texas Tech posted when Iowa State missed a kick against Texas Tech, and that was kind of funny.
Yeah, it was the 60-yard kick. I don't know how it feels missing a 60-yard kick.
Yeah,
And it was Texas Tech winning in Lubbock on a 63-yarder.
yeah. I
wouldn't
won't
know
say
anything about missed kicks because instead of kicking field goals, we run backwards for
yes.
30
yeah.
yards.
Okay, you know
That was
what?
awesome, Ralph.
That infuriated me. I was so excited
loved
that
it.
ASU was going to win. And by the way, I got all my picks right this week. Second week I've done it this year. Usually I go dead 50-50 perfectly, but I got them all right. And I almost lost because of that. And you know what? I didn't even care. At that point, I wanted Arizona State to lose because my blood was boiling that they didn't take the kick. I was so pissed. I was putting new sheets on my bed, and I was just like, I hope they lose. Like, they deserve it. This sucks. They're awful. They're trash. I could kick it.
So we all agree that it's completely insane to have not run out the clock in a one-score game and give them 1 second to run a play. We agree that's insane, right?
Yeah.
Well, there were two things.
Should
there
have
were
ran
two
a little
things
bit
that they
further
did.
back.
Right. Well,
There
that's
were
what I'm saying. It's the second time we've done it this year.
Yeah.
The second time. We
There
did
were
it
two
against
things that
Texas
they
State
did.
too.
First of all, they got close enough to kick, and they decided to go for it. And somebody else was like, oh, well, it's because their quarterback ran instead of giving it to their running back. No, it doesn't freaking matter. Don't do that. Don't do it at all, because regardless, if one of them misses, they miss. If you take the kick and you take the 3 points, you force BYU to have to run down the field, score a touchdown, and get a 2-point conversion to even go into overtime, to even force overtime, if I'm remembering correctly at what it was. And so they shouldn't have even gone for it at all. Like, don't even be greedy. Just kick it. Take the 3 points. But then what pissed me off is they got the ball back. And granted, I know you're gonna go for it on a 3rd down, right? You're not gonna even try to kick till 4th down. But the clock's almost out at this point. Also, just freaking kick it. And the guy just was running the other way. I mean, he went backward like 40 yards both times. I watched it happen twice.
Would you agree that it was interesting?
Oh, it was a blast.
No,
I loved it.
I was mad.
Honestly,
ASU is
honestly, what
nothing
you guys
if not
should have
interesting.
done, you should have given it to your fastest player and snapped the ball on that final play where there was 1 second left. Like, you guys should have snapped the ball and let your fastest dude just run it to the back of the end zone and take the safety.
What about if you have a Heisman contending running back on your team and it's like 2nd down and all you have to do is hand the ball off? What about
Yeah.
that?
What if you just did
Is that an option?
That's way too easy. No. Get
Stupid.
that common logic
Stupid.
out of here, man.
It made me mad. It
You
made
know
me
what it
so
is?
mad.
If I'm being honest, Kenny Dillingham is 34 years old. He grew up playing Madden. That's what you do when you're in the living room with your little brother, and they know that they won't have a chance, and you're just running around in the backfield and you're trolling them. He was
I have done
was
that
being
before
a
too.
troll, and it didn't work. And it's the 2nd time this year that exact same thing has happened. And we haven't paid for it either time, but we eventually will. And so I'd like to apologize on behalf of everybody who was offended by that entire series of play calls. It will happen again.
I am all here for it, honestly. I absolutely loved it. Because, like, the first time that it happened, I literally started watching it when it was 2nd and goal and the ball was on the 30. And I was like, how in the hell is it 2nd and goal on the 30? I was like, somebody must have gotten the down markers wrong on ESPN, because let's face it, that's something that they would have done. And then all of a sudden, the next play, I saw you guys just start running faster backwards. And I was like, I get it. I was like, I've done this before. I have pissed off a plethora of 14-year-olds doing this.
Yeah, and then he was quite animated after the game as well, Kenny Dillingham. But can we talk also about that video that surfaced? Someone secretly recording BYU's inspirational halftime speech. Like, what was the deal with that? And people trying to act like, oh, this is so uniquely terrible. Look, listen, that Mormon's in there cussing. Like, would you freaking give it a break? Like, come on.
Yes, I would dare them to listen to any Texas halftime speech. Oh. Literally any Texas one. Especially with Sarkisian in charge. Are you kidding me?
Listen, I was an equipment manager for Gary Patterson. That man uttered words in a demonic tone of voice.
He follows me on Twitter. He's got golden retrievers.
Yes, he does. But there's a difference between Gary Patterson and Coach P. And Coach P, he will tell you that. And Coach P was quite animated, shall we say, a halftime. But yeah, who takes a video? Outside the locker room? Is like,
that sucked. That was a Pro-Am employee, event management. So that they're technically not. I mean, ASU is going to get blamed for it. It's somebody who was making $10 an hour to guard the locker room. That should never have happened ever. That was corny to record that and post it. Also, great speech. It worked. Yes, it absolutely worked. I think I posted earlier today, like, he can come coach my kids to get on studying for their midterms anytime. Like, that was good.
It made me want to run through a brick wall.
Watching BYU do some, like, turn themselves into a pretzel to be like, well, I guess this one time it's okay. Like, no, it's just gonna be okay. It's been fine.
And like, that's the thing too. It's not even like, people weren't freaking out about the fact that somebody violated somebody's privacy by taking it. They were more pissed off about the swearing and that he was like breaking the code of ethics or whatever the hell they call it at BYU. And like, it wasn't even like BYU fans were complaining about either. They were only complaining because Utah fans were posting it all over and going, look, he swore. We're not the only ones who swear.
Mom.
I'm not kidding you. I saw it on Twitter.
I saw it again this morning and I almost snapped. I was like, shut the hell up about this damn locker room speech.
I blame BYU elders, and not that church elders, like actual elders. I blame them for not explaining to their kids that they had absolutely no problem having Jim McMahon as their quarterback in the early 1980s.
Yeah.
Like, they're good. They can, whatever level of hypocrisy gets you to 10 wins, they're cool with.
Yeah.
And you can be cool with it too.
Well, and it sounded like at some point, like, BYU had essentially insinuated that Utah was trashy because of how they talk and how they swear. And so Utah was throwing it back like, oh, well, look at your players. But the difference is, one's behind a door giving a speech, a motivational speech to his own players that he cares about. He's not sitting there just cussing people out, like, to be mean. Like,
they can't even
comprehend that.
Kyle Whittingham is a BYU alum. So if they want to question his class or his staff's class, they're questioning themselves. It's just it's a game that none of us should be playing. Tyler Batty is cool with me as long as he's not faking out on the field, which is a big thing that he also does.
Yes.
Flopping, big time flopper. But as far as locker room speeches go, dude, I will take him in the transfer portal. Like, he's a glue guy. Love it. He did great.
It also reminds me of was that 2021 when the Texas bus video leaked, when the defensive coordinator for Texas basically called them a bunch of P words and that they should all be in the transfer portal by the time they get back to Arlington, because it was when they lost to Iowa State. And he's like, you guys are, and just rambles every single cuss word known to man. And then goes, I hope all of you are in the transfer portal by the time we're back in Arlington, because you guys have no hearts and you're all just a giant bunch of... and just like went off, and I was like, oh man, I was like, that was a fun video to watch, because like the poor kid that recorded it was just like, oh my god, like, am I gonna get my papers when I get back? Like, am I gonna be hitting the transfer portal? I'm like, yeah, probably, dude.
Well, and like people think kids are a lot more sensitive than they actually are. Like, here's how that speech is received on that bus. You're sitting there with your head down, and you're like, yeah, you're right, they are.
Yeah,
He's not talking
right.
about me. He's talking about all of these other people on the bus who definitely are. It's not me, it's them.
Right? As
They're- and
somebody
yeah.
who has sat through those types of conversations, it just more irritates and pisses you off more to make you want to do something about it than like be like, ah, dang, he's right. Like, bummer, dude. It's like, no, how dare you call me and insinuate those misinformation about me? Like,
Right.
I'm gonna go out and prove you wrong now, bud.
Fake news. Yeah.
And
Fake news.
And by the way, I know we're talking about BYU, Arizona State, but Clint, am I allowed to go to the Iowa State game and talk about other stuff that pissed me off this week?
Yes, please. Absolutely.
Iowa State almost let Utah possibly be bowl eligible, and I was gonna lose my mind. But they kept them from doing that. I was very happy. I had a tweet that should have gone viral, but it didn't, because Iowa State did ultimately end up winning, thank God.
Mm.
But it was a great tweet, and I hope you guys all saw it.
Also,
It
fake news.
said that if Iowa State lost to Utah, that Utah pig bus was gonna pop out of the Psy costume and laugh.
That's
Trying
why
to
he
find that right now.
deactivated his Twitter after a little while there.
You guys know about Utah Pig Bus, huh?
Oh yeah.
Oh, I think
Yeah,
everyone
real
knows what
back
you
twelve
told.
in here
Him
right
and I
now.
go way back. I actually have a really good picture of him.
Yeah.
I will say another one of my takeaways, since we were crapping all over Arizona earlier. There's Brittany's tweet. Let it go viral, folks. So
It should have gone viral. It was funny.
yeah, I have so many tweets like that, Brittany, that I'm like, oh, I thought that was a good tweet, and like 3 likes. Okay, oh well, I thought I was cooking with that one. But so my 2 recent experiences with Arizona as a TCU fan are losing a BS tournament game to them when Mike Miles got fouled within an inch of his life at half court, and instead they get a 3. And then they proceed to touch one of our cheerleaders' boobs. And then most recently in this game, one of their players spit on another one of our players. Full on Hawk Tua spit in his face. And I'm like, you know what? I think I'm ready to say, screw Arizona. I am fully, as far as the Territorial Cup is concerned, I am 1,000% in the Sun Devil camp on this
Oh,
one. I
wow.
have seen enough.
Welcome.
Ralph, you're really cool. Totru's really cool. Every Arizona State fan I've interacted with is really cool. And all this Arizona chicanery, I wash my hands of it. I'm not rooting for the Wildcats ever. So that's my big takeaway.
Tell us more. Do go on.
I know, I'm kind of enjoying this. I didn't know that anybody got spit on during your game.
Yeah, and it was like as time was like running out. I mean, it was like we were running out the clock, and there was like a late hit out of bounds, and then one of the Arizona players like spit in a guy's face.
And they didn't call anything on it?
They did. He got kicked out of the game. He got kicked
No,
out
they
of the game.
kicked him out. But then did you see the Texas Tech and Oklahoma State game where Ollie Gordon literally punched somebody and they didn't kick him out?
I did not see that. I did
He
not see
stopped
that.
somebody and didn't get kicked out.
Minor details.
I mean, I'm sure everyone was just shocked and excited to see Oklahoma State showing a little bit of fight in the game. Yeah.
Dang those Big 12 refs that also don't call Gator rolls. How dare us?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
I did see that. I saw the thing saying that it was your Gator roll that injured their player.
It was
Hey, I'm
a
just glad it's
standard
not TCU
tackle
getting
in your
allegations
roll
anymore.
with your momentum. There is no Gator rolling there. A Gator roll full blown twists your leg. Like you could very easily tear an ACL if you properly Gator roll, which he definitely did not.
Well, the roll tackle is literally how you coach tackling these days. It's
Yeah.
literally how you coach it. So, you don't know ball. Just say you don't know ball, right?
Utah fans are just literally looking for any excuse that they're losing at this point.
Yeah.
Well, and here's the thing too, like I am like a very strong Baylor hater. Okay.
Hey,
I
yes.
hate Baylor.
Yes.
Got a whole album in my phone dedicated to F Baylor memes. Okay. That I post whenever they lose. Love it. I got banned on Twitter by them. People tag me when they do well to see if I'm okay, because that's how much I hate Baylor.
Mm.
But I don't even mind Baylor anymore. Next to these new guys, they make Baylor look like angels,
Yeah.
which is hard to do.
Yeah, well, and to be fair, it is. I mean, I despise Baylor, of course. As a TCU fan, I despise Baylor, but it's very hard to hate Dave Aranda. Dave Aranda's a really good dude, and I almost like seeing them do well with him. Almost, right? And especially,
Almost.
yeah, you've got the
But not
Utahs,
too
you've got the UCFs in this conference. There's plenty of other people to hate more than Baylor. Plus, we employ a Bryles, so make of that what you will. Before we get on to
more blasphemous, I think.
yeah, really. But hey, how dare you focus on the sawdust in your brother's eye when there is a plank of wood in your own eye, right? We're talking about hypocrisy here. Everyone is a hypocrite in college football. Everybody.
Amen.
Okay, so before we move on to this week's action, make sure you're tuning into the College Football Show with the godfather of the voice of college football, Mark Rogers, Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. He's also got Saturday post-game late night, Sunday, 11 a.m. Eastern Time. He's got call-in shows Thursday and Friday. If you're not listening to Mark, I don't know if you can call yourself a college football fan. The dude knows his stuff. He's the whole reason we got this whole voice of college football network going on. So make sure that you check him out if you don't already. Subscribe at VOCFB. So let's talk about these games coming up. 2 games on Friday to get into. First of all, Oklahoma State travels to Boulder to face off against the Buffs. Buffs are 17-point favorites, 11 a.m. on Black Friday. I don't know if Colorado automatically clinches with a win in this game. I'll actually need to look that up. But what are y'all thinking about this one? I mean, does Oklahoma State have any prayer of getting their first conference win here?
Please.
I don't think so.
I really want it.
I want it. I don't think it's going to happen.
I really need Utah to be tied for last.
So do I.
Nice. That would be nice.
I really want this. I honestly think, though, that Colorado is going to come out. I don't think they automatically clinch it if they win. I think there's still a couple more pieces, because if it's a 4-way tie, I believe Arizona State and Iowa State are the 2 that go.
Yes, that's what I'm looking at right now, actually.
If all 4 win, it's Arizona State and Iowa State.
If Iowa State loses, they're out. If I think BYU loses, they're out. But, I mean, the craziest one that I've seen is if all 4 teams lose, then we're into the entire, Baylor has to beat whoever, and West Virginia has to beat whoever, and Texas Tech has to beat whoever. All of a sudden, all those, 3-loss teams are in, the plethora of psychoticness.
Yeah. So Colorado, to make the title game, Colorado needs to win this game, and they need 2 of Arizona State, BYU, Iowa State to lose to be guaranteed a spot. And then I guess there's some tiebreaker scenarios.
That's a lot of help.
Yeah. Okay.
So I have a giant chart of every scenario, and it is very ugly. So if Colorado wins, and all the other teams win, it's Arizona State, Iowa State. But if Baylor wins and Texas Tech wins and Arizona State wins and then TCU wins and Iowa State wins and then Houston beats BYU, then it's Colorado against Arizona State. It's an entire crazy. Oh, you can't even see on my screen. Well, that's poopy.
There's also
bad.
some scenario, I believe, in which Texas Tech ends up playing Baylor.
Yeah, there's a butt bowl.
Butt bowl championship.
Yeah, that one is actually insane because Okie State needs to win. I actually have that one highlighted. So Okie State needs to win, Baylor needs to win, Texas Tech needs to win, Arizona needs to win, TCU needs to win, K-State needs to win, and Houston needs to win, and we get the butt bowl.
Wait, so who all loses?
Literally everybody, because it's the bubble.
Yes, America loses.
BYU would lose, Iowa State would lose, Cincy would lose, Arizona State would lose, West Virginia would lose, Kansas would lose, and Colorado would lose. So basically everybody at the top would just be shot. I also love how Utah isn't even part of this conversation.
Oh, it's so beautiful. Ralph, any reason to believe Colorado doesn't win this game?
They've been frisky a couple of times, but the amount of 2-score losses they've taken in this conference run is crazy for a team that has 30 seniors and 15 of them are super duper seniors. It's so confusing. Ollie Gordon had 2,000 yards of offense last year. He needs 130 rushing yards to even get to 1,000 rushing yards this season. I think they throw everything at it. I just don't think they can last 4 quarters. And if Baron Morton can throw for 370 on Oklahoma State, what can Shador do?
Yeah, that's a really good point. I think that 17-point spread is fair.
That's the scary thing to me about Colorado is like when they do have completions on passes, they're long passes.
They're old school 8-year-old me playing Madden 4 verts every single play.
Yes. Yep. And Travis Hunter trying to get that Heisman. I mean, I'm starting to resign myself that that's just what's going to happen as much as I want.
But did you see that he didn't even make the Thorpe finalist list?
Of course. Of course he'll win the Heisman and not even be a Thorpe finalist.
Yeah, there's a guy that's on the finalist list for the Thorpe that doesn't even have, I think, an interception or double-digit pass deflections, and Travis Hunter's just not even on it, which, in my personal opinion, is a travesty. I think that he deserves to win the Thorpe? I don't think so. I think there's better DBs, but him not being on that list is grade A BS.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, on to the self-anointed villains bowl. The everyone hates us and we just don't understand why bowl. Utah going to UCF. UCF is a 10-point favorite down there in Orlando. And give me the Citronauts. Give me the Golden Knights. Everything but what they're actually called. I like them at home, even though they've been a little bit of a mess at times this year.
You know what would be the absolute best thing to happen ever? Is another really, really Big 12 call at the end of the game that gives UCF the win.
Utah would just rage quit college football, I think, at that point.
I would happily, I want UCF to win. I do think that they're going to win by more than 1 point, but it's just one of those where it would make my absolute week if Utah lost by a single point on some ridiculous rule like the whole intentional grounding, loss of down when it's 4th down. That would be great. That would be hilarious.
Yeah.
And a 10-second runoff? Sign me up. Do it, please, Utah.
By the way, can we briefly talk about the fact that on rivalry week, we only have, 2 rivalries occurring on rivalry week? Why isn't TCU playing Baylor this week? Why isn't Utah playing BYU this week? Why is it TCU Cincinnati? I mean, there's a Conference USA rivalry. We've only got the Territorial Cup and Farmageddon. Those are the only 2 rivalry games this week. What's that all about? I guess you got the John Denver Bowl also. Tech in West Virginia. Anyway.
That's the John Denver Bowl?
Yeah, because John Denver went to Tech and he wrote a song about Western Virginia.
Yes,
So,
not West Virginia, Western Virginia.
Yes.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Almost Heaven, West Virginia, Blue Ridge Mountains, Shenandoah River.
Which is in Western Virginia, not West Virginia.
Yeah.
The more you know about geography.
Have you not seen the video of that West Virginia student being like, here's the crazy thing. This song isn't about West Virginia. You haven't seen that video?
I knew he was associated with Tech. I knew he went to Tech, but I didn't know about the Western Virginia part.
Yeah.
So John Denver, big Virginia Tech fan, then, is what you're saying.
Possibly.
Big James Madison guy.
He also wrote a song about the Rocky Mountains, so maybe he's a Colorado. I feel like he'd probably be a Colorado fan, honestly.
Yeah, I think that it's just kind of weird that the Big 12 doesn't embrace more of like the, rivalry week thing. I mean, it's Farmageddon has, I think, for the past decade plus, always been the last week. Or back in 2010, it used to be Iowa State Mizzou for the last week for the Battle of the Telephone Trophy, which is
the telephone trophy.
Yeah, the
Remember that one from NCAA football?
Oh my gosh. And they
I-
still have it, and I don't know where it's at, but I am determined to go down to Mizzou and find it and bring it back to its rightful owners in Ames, Iowa.
I have a theory.
Tell us your theory.
I just came up with this theory, so it's not real thought out, but maybe. What if the reason we put a lot of our rivalry games throughout the year is because we automatically know some of the SEC and Big Ten rivalries are going to get focused on for like big noon kickoff and college game day. So we spread them out for maybe a better chance at other weeks of getting those, our media appearances and views. Because
that
we
makes
know we're
sense.
not going to get them. Like
makes
we're not going to get it versus Texas A&M or Alabama Auburn.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Michigan,
I
Ohio
just
State,
selfishly
Purdue.
feel like
Who wants to watch that?
TCU should play Baylor, on the weekend after Thanksgiving. That's just, any other thoughts on Utah UCF?
We can just dub it a rivalry. We can do whatever we want.
That's true. Yeah,
this
this
is
is
the
the new
new
era of
Big
college
12.
football. Nothing matters.
Shout out to two teams that are just in quarterback hell. Utah starting its fifth string quarterback, and UCF has 13 touchdown passes this season, while Dylan Gabriel, Mikey Keene, and Thomas Castellanos, who isn't even on a team, all have more touchdown passes this year. It's been rough for them at the quarterback position. They've lost a lot of good players.
We can call this the shitty quarterback rivalry.
Listen, I won't feel bad for them until they are starting a quarterback without the use of one of his feet, as TCU famously did in the Cheez-It Bowl. I don't know if y'all watched the 2018 Cheez-It Bowl. Now they're going to Justin Rogers, who doesn't have the use of one of his feet. Something that they actually said.
I was at that game, and it was kicked off by Cheap Trick. That's who played beforehand. So
what an apropos band to play.
Great. Little want you to want me, followed by like 9 total points.
Yes, and like 11 interceptions on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's move on. Let's move on to Kansas Baylor, our first game of Saturday. Kansas hurtling toward bowl eligibility. And I've seen this as a -1 for Kansas. I've seen it as a -1 for Baylor. We'll call it a push. Okay. Nobody knows who's going to win this game. Brittany, are the Jayhawks going bowling? Are they going to beat Baylor?
They beat so many teams at the end that I don't want to say that they shouldn't have beat, because I really think I thought they were going to do a lot better this season than they did towards the beginning. So I feel like they're finally playing how they were projected to play this season. I hope so. I want them to go bowling. I think it would be so funny if they started out so poorly and ended up going bowling, and Utah and Oklahoma State didn't go bowling.
Yeah.
It would be funny.
It would be funny. It'd be very 2024 for sure.
I would laugh.
I think Kansas being so dead that they became deaf is the coolest thing that has happened this year. And I refuse to say that we don't know who's going to win this game. It's Kansas, the best team in America, of course.
The best team in America. Is that a fair assessment, Brownie? Best team in America?
Who wants to play them right now?
Definitely not TCU.
Right now. Colorado actually had good run defense all year long. Devin Neal hit him for 200. 3 straight ranked wins. Like, no, thank you. I'm so glad we had them before November.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, once Grimes learned what a double and triple option is, like, Kansas's offense almost seems now unstoppable. Like, you can completely forget that Mr. Daniels is going to be good for like 2 to 3 turnovers, with 2 of them being interceptions. And now all of a sudden you're worrying about like, oh crap, they have 4 running backs because Daniels is now an additional running back. Like, who am I supposed to tackle? Especially like in the Big 12 right now, we're still playing that 3-3-5 stack. And unless your Mike linebacker is getting to the containment on the outside on that option, your D-back is 2v1 against two running backs that are just going to blow right past him because he's flat-footed and he doesn't know which one to target. I mean, we saw it against Iowa State. Iowa State couldn't contain it. Then we saw it the following week. And then we saw it last week. And I think they're just going to keep it rolling. Now, I will say that it would be the most Iowa State thing to do is to get to 5 wins and then shit the bed and not make bowl eligibility. But I really don't see Kansas doing that.
Well, and that's the thing, too. I kind of have like that. I feel like that just because I've watched so many Iowa State games and I'm like, oh, that's probably going to happen. But then I have to remind myself, but it's not Iowa State, it's Kansas. And like the other thing is too, like I find it bittersweet, right? It's funny, it's hilarious, and they're playing how I thought they were gonna play before the season started. And I think they deserve bowl eligibility. I think they'll get it. But at the same time, it's also sad because it's one of those seasons where you're like, what if, right? Like, what if they had actually played like this all season? And I believe it's Devin Neal's last season, right? So it's just like, I don't know. It's kind of
What if they stopped the game 2 minutes before it was supposed to end? They would have been 9-2.
And that's exactly what I was about to show y'all. Joel Klatt tweeted this. What if Kansas didn't play the final 2 minutes of every single game this year? Now, one could argue that they didn't play the final 2 minutes. That's why they lost 5
I mean,
games
they
in a row.
really didn't, but yeah.
But the final 2 minutes in each game didn't happen. And Kansas would be 9-2. They only had 2 games, TCU and Illinois, that they didn't choke away in the final 2 minutes of the game. And you want to talk about what ifs, you want to talk about missed opportunity, there it is right stinking there.
And now we're talking about teams that are going to be 7-2 or go 7-2 making the championship. Kansas would have been an easy in. Like that's just see, this is what I mean. I'm like, I think it's funny. I laugh, and then I think about that half of it, and then I cry.
Yeah. Oh my gosh! If TCU doesn't crap the bed against UCF, then we're sitting at 10-2 in conference. We have 2 losses in conference, right? And if we show a pulse against Houston, I mean that's a whole nother thing, right? But we were leading UCF 28-7 and just completely crapped the bed. TCU could be in the Big 12 championship ourselves. That's just the kind of year that it has been for everybody except for Arizona State. And
we can't give these games away.
Yeah.
We tried.
Yes.
Yeah, I feel like Arizona State and Iowa State are kind of in the same umbrella where we're both just kind of like, we're happy to be here because we're actually good for once. And like everybody else, I mean, there's a lot of people in the Iowa State community that are absolutely pissed that we dropped 2 games. And I'm like, yeah, but like, did you expect Iowa State to have a 10-win season this year? Like, if we were going to make it happen, like this felt like this was the year to make it happen because we had such a softer schedule. Like when I initially looked at the schedule, I seriously thought we were going 7-5 this year because I thought we were going to drop to Iowa. I thought we were going to drop to Utah. I thought we were going to drop to K-State. I thought we were dropping to Kansas. And I thought we were going to drop one to like the Riot Bros or some team that we should
some
have
stupid one that you should
not.
Yeah.
So
Well,
like I'm just sitting there and I'm like, all of y'all can be pissed at 2 losses, but we can still have a 10-2 regular season like for the first time in Iowa State history, and you guys are mad that we lost 2 games. Like,
well, and here's the thing:
calm
even
down.
without the 10-2, it's their first time getting, it's their first time being 9-2 in the regular season right now too, which is a big deal. But everybody's just jumping over that because we're looking at the 10-2, right? But also
I want that
too,
10 win so bad.
would the 10-win thing be as cool if it didn't happen in the most Iowa State way possible, where you drop 2 games and it all comes down to Farmageddon?
Yes.
This,
We're
if they
smoking the crap
lose,
out of them.
I'm predicting right now. I'm using my little like psychic, right, like magic 8-ball
Let's
thing.
just get straight to that prediction of a game.
Yeah, let's go ahead. We'll skip the Farmageddon. Let's talk about
There's
Farmageddon.
gonna be some drama that's gonna happen. I don't know who's going to win. I'm hoping Iowa State wins, but I don't know. But there's going to be some drama that's going to happen that's going to kick off the Wildcats hating Iowa State again. And I don't know. It's not going to be Tang versus TJ, but it's going to be something, some Iowa State stuff that'll it'll get all fueled up again. But I think Iowa State will win this.
It's going to be
But
great.
I'm scared.
We're winning on a defensive
Oh,
pass interference.
it's already foretold. It's going to be Iowa State, Arizona State, and Iowa State is going to have to give up the goods as the player to be named later in the Brock Purdy trade, and you're going to get beat up on by a white running back with a Scandinavian last name, and that's just how it's going to go this year.
I think Iowa State's going
But
to
we
win.
have a white back too. That's
But
not fair.
I kind of
Yeah.
refuse.
We gave
I'm
you
so-
Brock Purdy for nothing. We got to get something back.
Brownie, are you scared to be optimistic though?
Oh no, I'm always optimistic.
The owner of a light up dumpster fire is always.
Heck yeah. You can't set the expectations and underachieve if you set the bar extremely low.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're going in thinking they're going to lose.
Oh no, we're totally smoking the Wildcats. At least I'm calling it 17 points.
Have you guys
Okay.
seen the BYU's trying to re-kick off the Avery Johnson GoFundMe
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
to bribe him?
Yes. Yes.
Yes,
I haven't
I have.
seen
And this is hilarious.
They're saying that if Kansas State beats Iowa State, they will donate money to Avery Johnson's
Avery
foundation.
Johnson's high
Yes.
school teacher's cancer fund.
Mhm.
That is like
But
so
only if you beat Iowa State.
Yes.
morally gray area that I love BYU so much.
Hey, just
Especially the last few
imagine
days.
it as
And
an
the thing is,
additional
it's not just
NIL.
like-
It's fine.
It's not just like one rogue fan being crazy. It's like multiple comments, multiple of people offering that.
Wow.
I can't wait for BYU to play their next game because that they really do, their fans, focus on what's in front of them. They will forget about ASU, they'll forget about the video, they'll forget about being mad at Kenny Dillingham. They will just forget because, and somebody pointed out earlier today, they're like, I feel like Utah and BYU fans are the same. And they're not. I have found that when a Utah fan is mad, they're actually mad. I've never seen a BYU fan that isn't just it doesn't mean anything to them, but if it gets them what they want, if complaining gets them what they want, if being mad, if being loud makes them feel like the victim, then they'll soak up that dopamine until the next thing. They're not going to be talking about ASU at all when they actually line up against Houston, and that's fantastic. I love it.
Unlike Utah, who's still sitting there and complaining about
Yes.
the Holy War.
Because they're actually mad. It actually matters to them.
Yeah. Well, as far as Farmageddon goes, I mean, this was one of the most fun games of the entire season last year with the snow and everything else. I mean, it was when I counted down my top 10 games, it was my number 2 game behind West Virginia, Houston last year. Is there snow in the forecast?
Yes.
Up there, Brown? There is? Okay.
There sure is.
So we
You
can
know
have
what
another
sucks,
Snowmageddon.
You know what sucks though is that Iowa State, I don't think they won't be wearing the white jerseys, right? Because Kansas
You don't
State.
know that.
Well, doesn't Kansas State get to decide if they want the white jerseys first because they're the away team? No,
No, home team
Home
decides that.
really?
Your team gets picked. Yep.
I hope personally that Iowa State wears their flesh-colored nude pants.
Heck yeah.
They can Winnie the Pooh it all over the
Honestly,
snow.
that is the worst color gold I have ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
Somebody did not take the due diligence to go onto like a media screen and figure out what the actual color was going to show up. Because in person, like that pant and that pant tone, amazing. As soon as you see it on TV, though, yeah, those are some flesh-colored leggings if I've ever seen any.
Like room temperature unbaked ham. That has to be the color when you go into Sherwin-Williams. Gosh.
Unbaked
Yeah.
ham.
It really
I'm
does
gonna
look
use
like
that
his
for
bare
anything.
ass is just hanging out.
Hell yeah, man. Why
It's the Winnie
not?
the Pooh uniform. The Pooniform, if you will.
The Pooniforms.
Yes. All right. Well, I mean, I'm picking Iowa State. I think Iowa State's gonna hopefully walk it off like they did last year. Something dramatic. But I wouldn't be mad at a 17-point spread either. That'd be fun to watch too, as long as it's in the snow. Any other thoughts on this one?
It's gonna
Avery
happen.
Johnson is a glorified running back.
The first 10-win season in Iowa State history. Let's see it happen.
Already
All right, let's
I
talk
said it at
John
the beginning
Denver
of the
Bowl.
season.
John Denver Bowl. West Virginia goes to Lubbock for an 11 a.m. tilt against Texas Tech. Tech are 3.5-point favorites. I like Tech in this one. West Virginia is a stinking mess, and Tech is theoretically trying to play for a spot in Arlington. Do y'all see it going differently?
It's going Waffles' way. He's magic, and somebody promised him a bag of treats if they make the championship.
And it shall be so. And it shall be
I
so.
mean, treats are expensive for dogs right now, so I'd take the bag.
Inflation's hitting everybody.
Even the dogs, man.
I personally
They're
wonder
eating
if-
the treats. They're eating the bones. Go
I
ahead, Ralph.
wonder how many conversations Neil Brown has had with UMass this week. I wonder if West Virginia is focused up. They want him, and West Virginia fans don't. It just makes sense. They should just kind of get together and be like, "All right, you can go now." Like the
I saw
leftovers
people
will
say
take the
that.
team. Yeah, why not?
I saw somebody do that like trade meme, right? Where that guy has like his hands right, and they're like, "You give us a win, we will get your coach fired."
I saw one though that was a take on that where it's like, yes, Texas Tech gets the win, and then West Virginia steals Joey McGuire from Texas Tech.
Oh,
my
that would be
God.
hilarious.
No, no.
Do it.
Can West Virginia? They're going to a bowl, correct? They got to 6 wins.
Yes,
Did
they're
they?
6 and
They're
5 right
six-
now.
And they
6 and
actually
5,
have
yes.
the chance to go 6-3 in conference for the second year in a row, which they haven't done in a while. But I do think it's interesting that after 1 week on the job, Dana Holgerson got Nebraska bowl eligible for the first time since Obama was president.
Man, yeah.
I really
What a
want West
wild- what a
Virginia
wild
to
ride.
win just to like make even more potential Big 12 scenarios happen. That would I'm all here for the chaos right now. That is the Big 12.
No, if you want the chaos, then you want Texas Tech to win.
Well, doesn't
No,
West
I
Virginia
think
still
West
have an
Virginia.
outside shot though?
Yes.
Do they?
Yeah.
Isn't there
They
some
have to
scenario in which Iowa State and West Virginia play in the Riot Bowl? There
I
was
can
at one
look.
point, but I don't know if it got eliminated.
Oh, actually, I think maybe West Virginia
There
is
is.
eliminated.
Nope. They are still in it. So we can have a Riot Bowl rematch if Oklahoma State wins, Kansas wins, West Virginia wins, and then Arizona has to win, TCU has to win, Iowa State
BYU
has to
lose
win,
probably.
and Houston wins.
Yeah.
So who loses? That's easier.
BYU,
Cincinnati, Arizona State, Texas Tech,
Kansas State, Texas Tech, Baylor,
Colorado.
Colorado.
It's
Yeah.
like the full Doctor
So basically,
Strange.
the top,
Yeah.
the entire top side would have to lose, except for Iowa State.
So do we have more of a chance of Texas Tech playing Baylor or more of a chance of West Virginia playing Iowa State?
I don't think they're
I think it's
for the butt
essentially
hole,
the
it's
same.
almost the same thing. It's just West Virginia wins or Texas Tech wins. Kind
Oh.
of pushes it one way or the other.
yeah,
Oh, okay.
here are your standings right here. Yeah, because they both have 3 losses in conference.
Yeah,
So
but in order to get the
Whoa,
butt
who's
hole,
that at the bottom?
you have to can't see them.
Also, I love how Oklahoma State got cropped off, but we should just leave it that way because this looks better.
yeah. There they are, right down there. Peekaboo. Okay. All right. Let's talk about the Territorial Cup. Arizona State,
Arizona State
Arizona.
is winning. Unless they run backwards for 75 yards, because they
Might
probably
do it
will.
anyway.
I know. You should. You should be so far up that you just run backwards for fun.
We did that against Mississippi State, and we did it against BYU, and I think we've done it against 2 other teams. So might as well just keep surrendering second half leads.
I'm kind of surprised that this is only a 9.5-point spread. I mean, Arizona's entire team is just Fafita to T-Mac, and like half the time it doesn't even work.
Well,
So-
Fafita to T-Mac hit us for 270 yards last year in this game. So
Okay. So
that
I was
might
going
be
to say,
why.
What are the vibes of this rivalry, Ralph? I mean, y'all, you're new to the conference. Like, give us a little bit of a sense of like what we should be expecting from this game.
It's just like, I don't know. As I've covered more and more college football, you know, the intensity of some rivalries has really caught me. Washington, Oregon is just it. You know, there's a lot of vitriol, and they're always going back and forth. The difference I've noticed in Arizona State is that they don't even want to do that. They don't want to talk to each other. They don't love that this is happening. Like, they just really want you to stay on your side of the fence. And the difference between us is like not a lot. I mean, Tucson and Tempe, there's a lot more older people in Tempe. Like, but I mean, people in Tempe hate Tucson. People in Tucson want to pretend like they don't like Tempe. It's I don't know. It's interesting. And it all comes from them not even wanting us to be a university. Arizona's a weird state anyway, because you can point at any state and you can say like, oh, here's the 10 colleges that all play football. We have 3 for a state of 8 million. And so you're either Arizona or you're Arizona State. And I want to say some of it's good natured sometimes, but mostly it's just like, it's not even get off my lawn. It's like, don't come here. You know, I don't know. It's not the same as like the just outward vitriol you get in a lot that like to talk trash.
Yeah.
They don't even like each other at all. And there's not much that separates them. And I'm on one side of it, and I'll be in Tucson next week. So try not to say anything too disparaging before I go down there and enjoy some Mexican cuisine and some football. But I mean, there have been a lot of years where Arizona State should have won this game by a lot and lost. Well, and there have been quite a few years where Arizona was up big and just blew it. And then you have 70-7, which is Arizona State's going to be dancing on that grave forever. So,
well, and here's the thing too. When we think about rivalries, a lot of rivals like to think, oh, like we're so much better, we're so much different. But like you mentioned, I mean, there's really not a huge difference between Arizona and Arizona State. And when you look at other ones, there's really not a huge difference as much as people argue, right? Like Kansas State and Iowa State. Look in the mirror.
Yeah.
Look at.
I was like, Renee, let's be careful before we make any accusations.
No. And look at. I
will die on
They're really gonna hate me for this one, right? Look at Utah and BYU. One's really mean and one's really nice, but aside from that, like most of them have the same religion. Most of them like go to the same places. They live in basically the same environment. Like it's really not that much different.
Yeah, we're both wearing flip-flops in February. Like that's true.
But you know, only one school between TCU and Baylor has burned the other's campus down. Okay, like we are not the same. We're not the same.
and made somebody famous for shiplap.
Yes,
should be taken out back.
Yes.
That stuff should be illegal.
Well, and then let's talk about like if we how about if we consider like Texas Tech and Oklahoma State a rivalry, right? They literally call Oklahoma State Xerox U a cop.
Yeah, they both do this. They both have a black rider. They both, yeah.
So it's like it's one of those things where people like to say like, "Oh, I hate them. I hate them," right? But like, I feel like when people hate somebody a lot,
who do you really hate?
That person usually represents the things within themselves that they hate.
Maybe that's what makes it tough to talk trash, because like, what are you gonna say?
Exactly. What you're saying is you're
pick me. I know that answer. Anybody who talks trash to Iowa State always says, "Go get a 10-win season." Well, guess what, jerks? We're almost there.
Or
now you're gonna have to make the goalpost to 12-win seasons.
Or if you're gonna be mean and you need somebody to dance on somebody's grave, but do it in a nice way, You could have Waffles sing some karaoke songs.
I would love to see that.
I personally prefer being.
Have you not
mean
seen
to my
Waffles
rival.
karaoke tweets ever?
I know. No, we need to get like Waffles singing Neon Moon and like Rock My World.
You need to scroll back. There's
Okay.
he dunks on schools by singing karaoke songs with them in them. He also calls people different names every time. Like the Texas Longhorns are the short-horned moo cows. He calls them cows instead of longhorns. The Colorado Buffaloes are the Colorado Fluffalos, and the GIF used is a little miniature fluffy Highland cow and not a buffalo.
I do like cows.
I'm scrolling right now. Well, okay. We need anything else we can say about Arizona State, Arizona? I mean, I think we all think the Devils are winning this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Give Cam Skadoo the ball a lot of times. I would
Yes.
like to see him get into the Heisman conversation, even though there's pretty clear candidates above him. But I mean, 1,400 yards rushing, 500 yards receiving is within reach before the conference championship. And that's not a thing that has been done in like 12, 15 years by anybody. Not at a power conference level. You've had like Memphis and Toledo have that happen, but I think it'd be really, really cool to get him up on a national stage, leading into if they have the possibility, they're going to need something to talk about, and he's really our biggest thing. So that it would be cool to see him run it up a little bit the way that T-Mac did on us last year. So that gave the whole country something to talk about, when they had a 6'5" receiver with 1,500 yards.
I mean, can we also talk about how Noah Fafita was supposed to be like the quarterback of the Big 12, and the only stat that he is leading in the Big 12 is interceptions?
Yeah.
Dude's not even top 3 in anything, and he leads the league in interceptions. Like, if you, again, at the beginning of the season, if you would have told me that Noah Fafita and Arizona were going to be mid to lower table team, I probably would have laughed, just like if you told me that Utah was going to be buns and Okie State was going to be buns. But, like, it's just wild to me that Arizona invested so much into the Fita-Mac combo that they just completely forgot that, they need 9 more offensive players.
Yeah, I blame Oklahoma State. I blame Utah. I feel like Arizona is really the only team out here with an excuse for how this year went. Like, Raymond Polito was their best offensive lineman, and he just right before the season was like, I don't play here anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's suspended. I don't know if he's academically ineligible. We don't know. But the best lineman is just gone. Jed Fish took 5 players. He took the entire incoming recruiting class. He took every single coach but one. And it's just been, I don't know. I don't feel bad because that's the nature of the game, and the way that their fans have handled it has been embarrassing, and they want to hit the reset button right now. They want to fire Brent Brennan after 1 year like it's his fault. And so go ahead, hit the reset. There's still a climb out. You're still going to be bad next year if you do that. But
yeah,
I don't know.
You
I
constantly
do
firing coaches
like
just sets you back a couple of years. I mean, look at Nebraska. After they got rid of
Bo
Pelini, they went from a 9-3 season to bottom dwellers of the Big Ten. I mean, I also find it funny that they're still paying off a lot of their coaches.
I'll never understand the thought process of people who just think like, oh, we suck, fire coach. Next year, get a new coach. Oh, he still sucks, fire coach. He's been there a year.
That's
like
the Texas way.
It's horrible. And like, you're starting over. Like you said, it's a reset button.
Yeah. Okay. Let's look at 2 more games. TCU revive. Okay. The children, they yearn for Conference USA rivalries returning. And here they are. TCU Cincinnati. Frogs are a 2.5-point favorite. And this one's going to be a cold one. Last I saw was like 33 degrees or something like that. Probably going to snow. I was trying to make it out to this game, but Thanksgiving flights, nope, not going to pay for that. So This is an opportunity for TCU to finish the season with 8 wins, which, to be completely honest, after the way the season started, would be a massive victory, I think, for the Frogs to finish 8-4 after last year and the way this year got rolling. But Cincinnati's not an easy out. Don Corleone on the defensive line, right? Sorsby, a lot of good pieces. I think Cincinnati is criminally underrated, and I think they are playing for bowl eligibility. Let me.
Yeah, I was just about to ask that.
Yes,
They're
they are playing for bowl eligibility. So how do we see this one going down?
Cincinnati.
Well, they're playing on turf instead of natural grass, so not as much slipping allegedly.
But it will be icy potentially. So.
Which is technically worse on artificial than natural because your legs can get locked a lot harder, and it's an ice skating rink basically. I mean, I'm taking TCU on this one. I just don't think that Cincinnati night game is gonna be able to pull it out. Sorry, Bearcat fans, but not feeling it.
I disagree.
I've
Nipper
been
that
worried about this
night.
game for several weeks.
Cincinnati.
Ralph, what are you thinking?
TCU. I'm gonna rock with. You guys still have Todd Graham out there, right? Offensive analyst.
Yes, we do. Offensive analyst Todd Graham. Yeah, and Dana Holgerson left because he was, quote, bored. Yes. Did y'all see that?
So he went to Lincoln. I love it.
He got bored in Fort Worth and decided to go to Lincoln, Nebraska, of all places.
As you do,
How much did Matt Rule pay this guy?
Oh, man. Speaking of Dana Holgerson, Houston BYU, let's bring it home. Cougs versus Cougs. Cougs with 2 O's versus Cougs spelled correctly.
Give me the Cougs.
The Cougs with 3 toes and the Cougs with all their toes. Basically, anything that's derogatory about a Cougar, just assign it to Houston. Okay, BYU's 2 touchdown favorites at home, middle of the night. The Cougar tails are flying. The chocolate milk is flowing. I'm liking BYU in this one. They're trying to sneak their way into that championship game. Can they do it?
I think they have that ability to just shut everything out, focus, use their little prayers or whatever. I think you call it a prayer if you're still Mormon, and win. Because here's the thing, like you mentioned, right? I don't know. They can really freaking focus and lock in. They want something, they're going to make it happen if they want it bad enough. Houston, I actually was really enjoying Houston earlier this year when they were knocking off people that they shouldn't have. I really enjoyed them beating Kansas State. That was one of the best parts of the season. But then they kind of got off that track, and I just don't see them going back on it to start upsetting teams again. So I'm going BYU.
I love BYU in this game.
And if BYU makes the championship, then they have more to brag about to Utah. They make the playoff, they got more to brag about to Utah. So it's just they got a lot on the line.
I like Jake Retzlaff a lot. He threw for 500 of his 280 yards in the second half last week. He's awesome, and Houston does not have a quarterback. So I'll go with the team that has a quarterback.
Let me ask you all this. If the Big 12 championship is between, let's say, Colorado and Arizona State, or Colorado and Iowa State, and Colorado loses the championship game, do you think there's any way that the Big 12 gets 2 teams in the playoff with the rate that SEC teams have been losing?
No. SEC bias is still there. I think even Big 10 bias is going to kick us to the curb. I'm not going to lie.
I don't know.
If Colorado is the 3-loss team, because Colorado, everybody loves to talk about Colorado. I think that's the only one worth talking about. Could that happen?
I think UNLV,
they lost
UNLV
to
can help
Kansas.
us. If UNLV beats Boise, I don't think UNLV will get in. So that's one spot that opens up. If USC could help, they could knock Notre Dame out. So I guess if you want Big 12 representation, root for Clemson and then SMU to beat Clemson because that'll open up what would have been the second ACC spot.
Mhm.
Root for Navy to beat Army.
I think
And
Army's
Army
already
made it.
out.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
done.
Oh, really? They took them
Yeah,
out
went
after
down-
this
they went all
last.
the way down to 25, and
Yeah.
the college football committee, like, they kind of mirror
They killed them.
what the AP looks like. So
I need
yeah,
them to take Notre Dame out, but I don't think they're going to, because they've been pushing Notre Dame so high when they don't even deserve to be there in the first place. I don't see them taking them all the way out together. And they're so hell-bent on Alabama, still trying to fit Alabama in. They will put Alabama in before they put a second Big 12 team in. That is
for sure.
that
But
is what'll
Alabama could
happen.
lose too.
Because
So-
Vegas would have them favored. Yeah.
Yeah, that's corny. That's corny. Like, it is what it
I
is.
did see something saying that because Quinn Ears is out, that they should not be allowed to be in the playoff because
Yes.
Florida State wasn't allowed to be in the playoff because they lost their
Mhm.
quarterback.
Yeah.
Who? Texas?
Yes.
Yeah,
Seriously?
Quinn Ewers got hurt.
Somebody
I
was
mean,
joking.
that
They said,
I
like,
knew
oh,
viewers went down, but like
yeah, he won't be playing in the game. So they said
personally
if he
speaking, I
doesn't
think
play,
Texas
if
is
he doesn't
awful.
play in the game, then he shouldn't be allowed. Then that team can't be in the playoff because that's what happened to Florida State.
Who do they still have projected for top 12? Because I'm assuming that they have Boise State as the fourth bye team still, right?
Probably, yeah.
So you have what? Oregon at 1, Texas at 2.
And I think they put SMU in before they put a second Big 12 team. I think it's criminal, but that they don't have SMU in the playoff.
Notre Dame was 3, and then Boise State was the 4 seed, right? Was that top 4?
I'm trying to find that.
I remember
I thought
seeing
they had
it
new
like
rankings out already tonight. But
earlier,
They
but
put them out. No, they come out at 8, I think.
I'm sitting here trying to process it in my noggin, but honestly, just like looking at the teams, it's so hard to put in a 3. I mean, it'd be a 4-loss Colorado team at that point if they made it to
Yeah.
the Big 12 championship game and then they lose. That's a 4-loss Colorado. They're not going to get in.
Yeah, I'd count on one. I'd say the ACC is probably going to be in the same situation if Miami beats SMU.
Yeah.
Then you're and if Notre Dame loses, then you might just see the whole SEC in there having a party because they don't want to respect. They don't want to respect Indiana either.
yeah.
So I mean, they don't want anything other than. And I mean, Alabama. When you look at the numbers, you could justify, but
They
Ole
looked
Miss,
so bad against Oklahoma,
Texas
though.
A&M, yeah, they did. They did.
Oklahoma, of all teams. Like,
Yeah, but they
Butt
say
cheeks OU.
at least Oklahoma has been in playoffs multiple times before. Like that was the argument that I
Never
kept
won
hearing.
though. They never won a game. There's only one Big 12 team that's won a game. Just gonna remind Nick Saban that.
And then got dog walked by the literal Bulldogs.
Yeah, but we got there. We got there. Okay, nobody else has gotten there. So
But I literally
Hold on,
pulled
hold on.
out.
Nothing wrong with
You beat
just
it.
getting
I
there.
literally
Nothing
pulled
wrong.
out a tub of ice cream that day because I was rooting for TCU and it was so depressing to watch. I was sitting on my couch giggling while eating with a spoon in a tub of ice cream.
Imagine paying $800 to live out a childhood dream and watch your team play in the national championship game, and that's what happens.
Get embarrassed.
So, yeah,
I get embarrassed almost every week for Iowa State athletics, so it's fine.
Yeah. We do this because we're masochists. Let's be honest. All right. Well, we've been going for an hour and 15 minutes. I think it's about time we wrap this sucker up. Always a great time to have every single one of you three on the show. Tell the people where they can find you.
I got my handle in my little thing on here. If you can see it, it's Brittany Rose. And then you can follow my dog at Waffles Reckham. He's a Texas Tech fan. He sings karaoke. He dunks on teams, gives them nicknames, waffles them, and brings Tech to magic victories. Are you pulling up waffles?
There he is right there. Waffle.
He's got a Santa hat.
Hey, as we all should.
Clint, you need to look up the Utah logo while I give you all of my fun stuff. You can catch me at Hoosier Burner. Highly recommend following me. I have every single athletics department's letterhead that I can make funny little articles on. Yeah, Ralph, even yours. You can also find.
Can you spell?
I cannot spell, which is what makes it
that's
more
gonna
hilarious.
be pretty convincing.
Find the one on my Twitter page, Clint. I think it'll be even more funnier.
Okay.
Yeah, you can find me also on Blue Sky at Brownie Wide Right Natty Light. Follow me on widerightnattylight.com for some of my articles. I'll be switching into basketball mode after the football season, but we also do have our senior highlight thank you article coming out this week sometime, along with that bad boy. This is also one of my proudest moments. And yep, take her away, Ralph.
They want to be Texas so bad.
You can find me in Tucson wearing gold next week, and on Twitter at College Football Apostles. When Oregon ultimately loses the Big Ten championship and has to play Arizona State in the first round, it will be the pinnacle of our podcast together.
Ooh, Lord.
Who would have thought we'd both be there? Not me, for sure.
Not
Definitely
me.
him.
Look at us. Look at us.
Look at us.
All right. Thank y'all for making us a part of your Tuesday night. Follow me on Twitter at Clint_Foster55, my YouTube channel at Clint Foster Comedy. Check out TCU fans during the Arizona game there, and subscribe to the show at Big 12 BOCFB. Like, subscribe, ring the bell, tell your friends, tell your family, tell your enemies, and lump burning coals upon their head in doing so. Right? Grow the show. Let's make it a thing. I hope you have a very happy Thanksgiving. I hope you eat too much, and please take a nap during the Cowboys game because nobody wants to have to watch that. Okay. And until I see you next Tuesday, I love you. I hope your team wins, and go Big 12. We'll see you next time.
College football is even more exciting with some action on the line, and the games are even better when you're cashing in. And the Voice of College Football is the place to be to get the greatest value. Let's start with my picks. 75% against the money line, 58% against the spread. I've got a 40-year track record. In fact, in 2023, at $100 played per game, you would have netted over $9,300. And guess what? I'm just the warm-up act. Steve Merrill, our ace in the hole, show stopper from Wager Talk, 6 years with the Voice of College Football, over 30 years in the industry. Steve gives us analysis on all the big games, but you can't miss Steve's weekly under-the-radar pick, which went 21-5 against the spread the last 2 seasons. I repeat, 21-5 against the spread. You also get picks from some of our top analysts here at the Voice of College Football, including Steve Dace and Matt Zemek. Become a YouTube channel member or Patreon member for just $99 per month. Go to the main channel on YouTube, click join, and select the betting tier. Do the same thing on Patreon. Make 2024 a winner now.